How do you aim better at the head when they are updraft? Help.
I feel a lot better on stretched. Is that just placebo? Is Jet OP? I'm Dopai, a 900 RR Radiant coach. Today, I will be answering some common and maybe some dumb questions from you all. What's the best use of Gecko Molly on Icebox attack? On B, it seems pretty obvious to molly topside while little guy plants, but I'm lost what to do with it on A. I feel like mollying Rafter Peak while where he hit site might be best. With Gecko Molly specifically, I try to, recommend not to overthink it. I like to use it in a way to clear corners. So, you can try mulling gen as you scale site, or you can save it for post plant. Yeah, it's just a molly. It's just whatever. Like, how would you use Viper Molly or how would you use Raisnade? Just use it like that. Is 144 hertz enough for Radiant? So I get this question a lot. Is 60 hertz enough? Is 144 hertz enough? Do I need 240 to go pro? I think the best way to answer this is that the better hertz you have, the more of an advantage you have. But if you're not already really good, or if that's not already something that's capping you, then it's not going to be something that automatically makes you insane. So of course, upgrading your monitor and having a good PC will help you, but it will not be the difference maker. And honestly, if you can't afford it, just focus on getting good at the game, doing what you can. If you are in the market for a new monitor, I recommend you check out this video from Optimum here. There is a 165 hertz monitor for like 115 US dollars, which is pretty insane. And I think the biggest difference is going from 60 hertz to 144. So as long as you're kind of in that 144 range, you're probably good. I've been playing Reyna pretty much my entire Valorant career, and a lot of people say Reyna is really, really bad at high elo. If let's say I want to hit Immortal this episode, then what agent should I switch to? The best answer to this, in my opinion, is once you're kind of past that plat range, you should just play whatever agent you enjoy the most. Before you're in plat, you're working up to gold, whatever, you should kind of play duelist, I think, just to maximize the amount of gunfights you get. But past that, you can play whatever you want to Immortal. There's plenty of Reynas that just one trick to Immortal. There's plenty of Reynas that are picked in Radiant anyways. So it's less about the agent and just being good at the game and, trying to leverage, what that agent is best for. I've been using Woohoojan's aim lab routine. Is that okay? I would say yes. I've played it. I think it's a good routine. I think that you can play different routines. It's not so much that there is a specific routine that's the best. As long as you're aim training somewhat, you're, miles ahead compared to other people that don't aim train. But as long as you're not wasting your time playing scenarios like grid shot, for example, then you're probably playing a good routine. Some routines that I would recommend is the ramp routine by Minigod. It's a great one for warming up. And other than that, you can also just play the benchmarks at app.voltaic.gg, put in your aim lab's name, and then click the Valorant logo at the top and just play through those. I personally think that they're decent enough for a playlist. And just as a routine in general. Is there any info/timeline on the next possible Dopai stream? I miss his streams. Yeah, it's been literally 4 months at the time of recording since my last stream. I don't know when I'll return to streaming, but I will be hosting weekly office hours on Monday at 12 p.m. I just made the announcement on Discord, so if you do have questions like in this video, show up to that and then we can go from there. How do you aim better at the head when they are updraft? So a heavily under-trained part of aiming in Valorant is vertical aiming. This is true for me as well. When I was working with Minigod, my vertical flicks in particular was pretty weak. So all you have to do here is just load up aim labs, play some type of vertical flicking task, or you can just go into the range and then stand on some type of elevation and train your vertical aim. That's pretty much it. I guess if you want, you could play Jet and just updraft dash everywhere and get used to it. But yeah, just train your vertical aim. It's definitely heavily undertrained. Is Jet OP? I think Vandal is OP. I would say Jet is not OP, but Vandal is definitely OP. I feel a lot better on stretched. Is that just placebo? Yes, stretched is just placebo. It does not make the targets bigger. It just messes with your HUD and your crosshair. If you like it, use it. If you don't like it, don't use it. Doesn't matter. Does the technique really matter? How long will it really take for it to be screwed into my muscle memory? And should I keep taking it slow? The technique he's referring to is flicking and then micro adjusting. This is a very common technique to do on static targets. So basically targets that don't move. And it's primarily used when you're flicking from one target to another. This originated from Bardos with his Bard Pilled method. If your goal is to improve in static specifically, I highly recommend you look at the criteria of the Bard Pilled method. Basically, it's just high accuracy and then you reset after a certain amount of misses. And you're prioritizing a fast initial flick and then taking your time on the micro adjust to have that high accuracy. Of course, as you're starting out, you should be thinking about the technique and you should be trying to prioritize accuracy. The reason for this is that Bardos thinks it's good to kind of like treat it as like an instrument, like you're learning an instrument. So you take your time with proper technique and then kind of scale up after you have, the technique down. In terms of time frame of how long it's going to be automatic or whatever, I actually have no idea. I can confidently say though, 15 minutes for 4 days in a row is not that much time. Maybe give it a month and see what's going on there. But yeah, definitely focus on the technique and go from there. Related to flicking, I highly recommend you guys check out this video from Minigod. It's a great video that talks about his journey with flicking, and he talks about the technique as well. How do you manage nerves when you start playing with people you idolize? My MMR is getting up there recently, and I find myself in content creator and pro lobbies often, and it sort of gets to me. So I want to answer this question generally. How do you manage nerves when you play? A lot of people are kind of getting nervous because they use these third-party apps that shows ranks of the enemies and their teammates. I think to start, don't use them so you don't, think about the rank. And then I would also recommend that maybe you hide player names, or you even just mute the enemy team just so you can focus on your own game. I mean, the players on your team and the player on the enemy team, like, it's a reason why you're in that game. The matchmaking is doing its thing. Everyone is a human at the end of the day. If you shoot them in the face, they're gonna die in game, of course. What you need to do to beat these players that are potentially better than you is play your game at your strengths. Don't try to play their game and adapt to their certain level or whatever. Like, just do what you like to do and do that. You're not going to beat these other people at their game, so you might as well just try to do what you can do. If that means playing judge, play the judge. If that means opping, op. If that means lurking every round, lurk every round. How do I start using the right shooting technique in fights? I notice a lot of spraying when continuing to burst would have gotten me an easy kill, or bursting when I'm so close I should have just sprayed. It keeps happening. I mean, this one's pretty straightforward. You just have to practice the different shooting techniques in the different ranges. So when you go into deathmatch, spray. When you're in the mid range, burst. When you're in long range, tap. Like that. It's as simple as that. Once you get enough reps and you do it automatically in DM, it's going to be automatic in the game as well, hopefully. Can mechanics actually hold me back? Because right now I'm confident my game knowledge is good enough to hit Immortal and create strong strats / anti-strats / counterplays, but I go negative almost every game. Okay, well, the first thing I want to say here is mechanics can definitely hold you back, and that is why I think people below plat should just be primarily focusing on mechanics and playing for maximum gun duels. The second part of that, I kind of just want to speak from my experience with working with a bunch of clients. People tend to overestimate themselves in certain categories and underestimate themselves in other categories. So in other words, people tend to overestimate themselves in their strengths and underestimate themselves in their weaknesses. So when I read this question, I'm kind of a little bit concerned. Maybe they think their game knowledge is good when actually it's bad, and their mechanics they think is bad, but it's actually good. You can see right at the bottom too, he says it could be decision making. He puts himself in disadvantageous positions. So I mean, I think he kind of answered the question himself. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed that video of me just answering some questions. If you guys have questions, join the Discord, and I'll be doing the weekly office hours on Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern time, and hopefully I'll see you guys there. If this video gave you some more questions and you're still tired of losing, then I recommend you guys check out this video here.